think I was something like 50 yards from this. These lights were flashing, and as they got bigger, as I got close to it, seemed like they were red flashing lights coming out of a porthole, which sort of circled the craft. They had like a catwalk going around the center of it. It was shaped like a lead ball, very metallic, very shiny, very shiny, very metallic, like a very shiny bumper, like a very shiny, very shiny. Rays, orangey glow coming up from beneath it. Flash that came on to me in the patrol car. It felt as if we were being pulled. And then it was being pulled. You know, we were being pulled up the side of this bank to the left of the road. And then I felt sort of tingling. This object landed, and some legs came out and sat down. I was just sitting there emotionless. I couldn't move. I may have my mouth open. I don't remember, being probably scared. This hatch came open. And this light came out of the hatch. And this form came down. And I looked at the form of the human being. And this form started walking toward the patrol car with an object in both his hands. As he was doing this, another form came out and started walking toward the patrol car also. This green light came out all over the car, and this all light went back in again. And he had an object in his hand. A silver object that looked like a big pencil with a round ball on the end of it. And he pressed this against the side of my neck, which I felt some pain from, and said, ouch. Then he stepped back, and I sort of sat there, and he opened up the car door, and it just went like this. And I sort of raised up out of the patrol car. And I was looking at him, and he was looking at me. And he said, "Are you the watchman of this town?" And my response was, "Yes, sir." He said, "Come with me, watchman." And we started moving toward the spacecraft, and it felt like I was walking on air. Come with me, watchman. I was walking on air. Come with me, watchman. Come with me, watchman. I was walking on air. Come with me, watchman. We got up to the hatch to where you went inside the spacecraft, and we just sort of like floated up into the first level. And he says to me, "Watchman, come with me." And we were in a circular room, and there were a lot of cylinders about 4.5 feet high and about 2 feet wide that circled the whole room. And it had sort of like a cable running through it, 2 cables running through these. They looked like tall batteries to me. And then in the center of this room was a huge cocoon, was spinning, and it was giving off colors like the rainbow, and it was about 20 feet long. And it seemed like these cables were coming up and connecting to these 2 block things that came down on each end of it. And we walked the complete circle in there. And I said, "What is this?" And he said, "This is how our craft operates." And he said it operates on electrical, reversible magnetism. And then I looked at him, and he said, "Come with me, watchman." And we walked back over to where I came up in with him, and this glass sheet came down. And we stepped onto this, which I felt, and we moved up into the second level of the craft. And lo and behold, I've never seen anything like it before in my life, with so many different types of instrument panels and computer type things that you just wouldn't believe it. This cone thing was right in the center of the floor. You could see half of it from on top and half of it from the bottom, but it gave off a red glow that sort of not flashed, but kind of died down and then came back up again. And he says, "Watchman, come with me." And we walked over to a screen that was up on the side, I say wall. And it was sort of like a TV screen. And he pressed some buttons and I guess flipped some switches. I wasn't paying too much attention to him. I was looking at the screen. And some stars in the sky appeared on there. And he put his finger up like this and he said, "This is where we're from, Watchman." And then he put his hand back down. He didn't say where, and he didn't say the name. He just pointed. The purpose that we're here is to get electricity. And there was another being standing a little distance away, and the man turned to him, and they both looked at each other, and he started depressing buttons. And he says, "Watch, Watchman." And there was this antenna on the outside of the spacecraft, which angled toward a power unit, and this bolt went out. A color I've never seen before in my life. I don't even think I could describe it. Went out and came back, and this stayed like this for about 3 minutes, and then it went off. And he turned and looked at me, and I felt as I was getting a very, very, an awful lot of roll of input of words that I couldn't understand. And he reached up and he touched me on the shoulder. And he felt real when he touched me. And I think at that time I did touch him. And he felt real to me. And he says, "Watchman, come with me." We walked back over to the exit, I'll say, where we came up. And the glass sheet came down again. And we went up into the third part of the craft, which was the observation deck, he said. As we stepped off, he said, "Watchman, come with me." And we walked over and we were standing there looking out of a big plate glass window type thing. And there was a control panel right in front of it, and there were 2 chairs that looked like dentist chairs, you know, grid dentist. We looked out the window, and I could see this one being walking back and forth by where my patrol car was. And he says to me, "Watchman, one day you yourself will see the universe as I have." And he reached up and he touched me on the shoulder. Like this, you know, like grabbing you on the shoulder, like a man does, to steer you away. And he says, "Come with me, Watchman." And then he stopped. And he said, "Watchman." And I felt I was getting more input of something that I couldn't understand. "Watchman, come with me." Then he says, "Watchman, come with me." We walked over and we went down all the way out of the craft. As we got outside, this other being started walking back toward the spacecraft and boarded it. As we were walking toward my patrol car. And we stopped right by the patrol car, and I turned to look at him, and he was looking at me. And then again, it felt like I was receiving input of words of some kind that I couldn't understand. He sort of lifted his hand, and then he turned and walked back to the spacecraft, floated up inside. This catwalk thing started spinning. The lights started flashing off and on. This red orangish glow tilting up in the air, and I guess it got about 100 feet high and just shot straight out of sight. Let me tell you, I was scared.